Hello everyone, I'm bringing you the Mannequin of the Month for July 2024 today. As is usual, the topic we're going to talk about was chosen via a poll over on Patreon, and what we're looking at here is the kit of a private in 7 RAR, the 7th Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment in Saigon in 1968 during the Tet Offensive, specifically in a static defensive position outside the photographs this is based on. There are some other photographs as well, but the primary photographs this is based on are of troops defending the Canberra Hotel, Australian accommodation in the Kowloon district of Saigon during the Tet Offensive. This gives opportunity to talk about something which is a bit of a rarity for Australian troops in Vietnam, and that's the wearing of body armour and steel helmets. Now, obviously, US forces made extensive use of body armour, and helmets were basically the standard headgear in the field. There are exceptions, of course, but by and large, helmets were worn, and that really is a contrast between Australia and the US forces in that regard. The wearing of body armour and steel helmets was very rare for Australian forces. It did happen in certain operations and in certain situations, as we're sort of recreating here on the Mannequin, but it was quite unusual, and therefore I thought it would be interesting to talk about, and I'm glad that this topic came top of the poll for that reason. So without further ado, we'll get into talking about the various bits and pieces on the Mannequin here. First of all, the steel helmet. Now, this is a standard M1 helmet of US design, US pattern. I believe both US and Australian made examples were used by Australian forces in country in the limited situations where they were worn. Happy to be corrected on that. This particular example is a US made example. Australia had adopted the M1 in the early 1960s to replace the preceding Zeiss Mark II, which was still around at that time, I believe. The M1 was selected as the replacement for that, and as you can see, the use of US body armour, US helmet, we'll get onto the body armour in just a minute, gives quite an American look to this, shall we say. The M1, as I say, was the standard helmet when helmets were worn. We do have body armour, as you can see. In the photographs I've based this on, there's a mix, and certainly in other photographs of Australian troops wearing body armour in country, you see a mix of the M1952A, which of course is similar to this, but has epaulets, which are sometimes removed, interestingly, but no collar is the big distinguishing feature, otherwise very similar. This is the later three-quarter collar design, which introduces the collar, which you can see here, the stand collar, which gives a bit of protection around the neck. Otherwise, very similar to the M1952A, which preceded it, and both patterns appear to have been worn by Australian troops in country in the limited circumstances when body armour was worn. The various features you can see at the front here, we have a zip underneath this flap, which closes with snaps or press studs down the front, an aluminium zip there. We have loops here which could be used to attach spoons on grenades, so you could hang grenades off this. You could actually use them with slide keepers as well if need be. Not generally used for that purpose, but sort of more commonly used to attach grenades. But certainly in Australian service, I've not seen these used to attach anything to the body armour. But that's the intention of these two pieces of webbing stitched across above the pockets here. There are angled pocket flaps here, as you can see, and these close with two sets of press studs or snaps, female on the flap here, which is concealed at the front, of course, and then you have two males here for closing this rather with different loads inside the pocket. So if it's empty, it can be closed on that. If you're carrying something in it, you can always close it on the upper one to give a little bit more carrying capacity. This, of course, has a ballistic nylon filler, and then you have this nylon cover over the outside with cotton webbing added on here and here. So, as I say, one of the standard forms of body armour seen in Vietnam, US forces as well. It is a US design and US manufactured, but certainly used by the Australians in limited circumstances as well. The basic uniform is a standard Australian greens, as they were referred to. It's a jungle green cotton uniform. You have a cotton drill shirt and cotton drill trousers. I have looked at these, I've shown these previously on the channel, I believe, in a separate video. So obviously with the body armour on, you can't see a huge amount of detail here, but it's basically a very simple shirt with two chest pockets with squared off pocket flaps, epaulets on the shoulders, and made of quite a heavyweight green drill. Same for the trousers, green drill. These close with a crossover belt system, which was borrowed from British practice, and they're very similar to the British issue trousers from that regard. They do add belt loops, but otherwise very similar. As I say, both shirt and trousers, I believe I've covered previously on the channel. I've certainly looked at some of the other Australian green uniform. If I haven't made a video looking at the shirt and trousers we have here separately, I will make one so you can see more of the details of those. That's the front of the Mannequin. Very, very simple. No web equipment or anything carried in this instance. As I say, this is based on photographs of men manning fixed positions behind sandbags and defences made of sandbags and oil drums outside the Canberra Hotel in the Kowloon district of Saigon, the Australian accommodation. So fixed position, no need to sort of carry web equipment and equipment that would normally be carried in the field. Because just simply manning a fixed defensive position. So that's the front of the Mannequin. We'll start moving this around now and have a look at some of the other details. Looking at the right hand side here, there isn't a huge amount more to talk about here. You can see the side profile of the M1 helmet up there. See the rolled up sleeve, the shirt there. You have the lacing down the side here by which the body armour could be adjusted, and you can see you've got two sections of webbing with eyelets there and the lacing going across. And then you can see the side of the trousers there, the hip pocket here, and we'll see more of the details of the trousers when we turn this around and look at the back. Looking at the back of the Mannequin here, you can see we have the chin strap hooked up around the back of the helmet. These are often also just worn with the chin strap hanging down. Rarely do you see them with the chin strap fixed when worn by Australian troops in Vietnam. The same is sort of true of US troops as well. You generally see the chin strap up out of the way around the back of the helmet or simply left loose. With the back of the body armour here, you can see this comes a little bit lower down at the back to give good protection to the kidneys. For the time and for this particular design, ballistic nylon is not the best in terms of providing protection, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. And then you can see the back of the trousers here with the two rear hip pockets there with a pointed pocket flap and a single button for each of those there. That's the back of the Mannequin. We'll have a look at the left-hand side now. Looking at the left-hand side here, again, not a great deal more to talk about here. You can see the fastener for the chin strap on the helmet there, where this has been clipped up around the back of the helmet. And other than that, this is pretty much a mirror image, but for the fact you have the Rising Sun badge worn on the arm here. Now, these were not universal in Vietnam on field uniforms, but you do see them from time to time. And this is a woven badge with the Australian Rising Sun design on there. The Australian Military Forces, of course, this is a cap badge. This had been a cap badge going way back and was then developed as an arm badge, as we have here, worn just below the shoulder seam for the sleeve there, as you can see. So in this particular instance, this shirt came with this, and obviously I've no purpose to remove it, and they were worn in Vietnam to some degree. You do see them in photographs from time to time, so we just have that detail there. Not universal by any means, but a nice feature to be able to talk about here. So due to a camera glitch, I wasn't able to complete the normal outro where I'm still stood next to the Mannequin, just run through the usual bits about the channel and so forth. So I'm going to do that here. Obviously we can see here a still of the Mannequin, which was presented as Mannequin of the Month. And if you'd like to see more photographs of this, you can of course see that on social media. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below in the description of the video. As said at the start of the video, the topic that's going to be covered each month in Mannequin of the Month is considered on Patreon. There's a poll over there for the corporal tier, and they can vote each month on what's going to be covered. And a massive thank you to everybody who supports the channel. If you're interested in going and having a look at that, Patreon is linked down below. There's also a PayPal link as well. And as I always say, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. If you'd like to get in touch, obviously I've mentioned social media already. If you'd like to get in touch with me and you don't really use social media, there is an email address in the description as well. I apologise, I've been a little bit remiss in checking that recently just with everything else that's going on, but I'll be checking that again soon. And that's everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.